Every year it gets harder and harder to get an A+ in NBA 2K, and 2K do everything that they can to stop us from getting an A+ each and every year. And this year it's never been harder, fellas, to get an A+ in the Mycareer, but it's not impossible. Just like last year, I have everything that you need to get an A+ in the Mycareer in NBA 2K24. I'm going to be real, fellas. I have a ton of superstar A+, but not a ton of Hoffs. I've only got a few Hoff A+, but to be honest, fellas, I'm a 71 overall doing this on Hoff, so you'll be able to do this at any overall on any difficulty. And if you do want to follow my career and everything I do, follow me over on Twitch or watch my Mycareer series over on the channel to show you everything that you need to do to win games on Hall of Fame and get that A+ teammate grade. If you do like this video and it helps you get a better teammate grade, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and comment down below any Mycareer tutorials that you would like to see on the channel. Leave it in the comments below and let me know, fellas. But I've talked and raved long enough, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to teach you guys, just like every single year running an effective pick and roll system, the first thing that you need to watch for is the animation when the defender hits the screen. If he hits the screen and goes under the screen, you're looking to shoot, and if he hits the screen and goes over the screen, you're looking to drive. So basically what you want to do is to get your teammate to set a screen by holding L1, then use the screen and just watch the animation that the defender gets when he hits the screen. If it's a big body and it holds him up, that's when you want to attack. If he gets hit hard by the screen and goes under, you want to shoot the ball either with a standing shot or a fade. But if he hits it hard when going over the screen, you want to drive and commit the big man. It's that simple, fellas. Just watch for the animations, and any big contact on a screen, you want to attack, attack, attack. The next thing I want to talk about, like I just said a second ago, is committing the big man on the drive. This will open up the roll all year, fellas. Committing the big man on the roll is everything when slashing to the basket after a screen. It really is, fellas, because once you commit that big man, it's an easy lane, an open lane for your slasher or your roller to roll through and just get an easy basket. So what you want to do, if the big man does commit, you just want to throw a simple alley. And how you make them commit is you want to try and run directly at them and then slowly drift away, so it brings them away. You make them commit to make them lock onto you that you're their player, and as soon as that happens, it's green light for your roller to roll through for an easy alley or an easy pass. As I said, once you run past the screen, square up, start running directly at the guy at the basket or the big man trying to protect the basket, and slowly glide away from the passing lane or the screen lane where the guy is running to, so it opens it up completely. And as I said, it's easy buckets all day. So the next thing I want to talk about is just setting screens with any player. You can set screens with any player by just tapping L1 and then holding the button that is above their head. So if it's a shooting guard, it'll be circle, small forward square, power forward triangle, etc, etc. This is good for using this for specific players and do what they're good at. So if they're a shooter, use a pick and fade. If they're a slasher, use a pick and roll. All you have to do to change from a pick and roll to a pick and fade is just hit R1 when they're setting a screen, and it's changes them to a fade. A fade is perfect for creating mismatches with the right players. So if you do have bad defenders somewhere in the opposition lineup, you can expose it. Another good thing as well when exposing bad defenders, you can force them to play pick and roll defense. If you know, say, Kyrie or Luka's bad at pick and roll defense, you can use that player and force them to play pick and roll defense, which is a good thing and opens up those lanes even more. The next thing I want to talk about, while setting a screen, you can tap L1 again to make him cut early. This helps a lot when big defenders are playing high trying to stop a shot. So if you do set a screen and the big man is playing up on you trying to stop the free heavy, like he's right in your face, pretty much playing sides, you can do one of two things. You can either tap L1 to force the screener just to cut straight away, or you can simply just wait 1 or 2 seconds and he'll just start to roll to the basket, and it's an easy basket. So if they do play sides when you are setting a screen because you're shooting too many frees, just tap L1 again quickly and he'll cut straight to the basket. So the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to setting screens, just set a screen inside the 3-point line and then run straight to the 3. So this still a new thing, fellas. I've only done this a couple of times and I'm still working out the kinks on Hoff, but what you want to do is just step 1 or 2 steps past the 3-point line and then hold L1 to start the screen. Just do everything the same, run around it like you would before, but soon as the guy hits the screen, check that animation like I talked about before. If he hits the screen hard and goes over the screen, under the screen, just run directly diagonally straight to the 3-point line and let it fly. You'll be open all day. This worked perfectly on higher difficulties like Superstar and Hoff, as I said, it's pretty effective, but it'll be even better on lower difficulties. So the next thing I want to talk about is basic tips for your offense just to help your teammate grade. And the first thing I want to talk about is setting off-ball screens for players to help you get open shots or creating mismatches. Like I said earlier, you can tap L1, but instead of holding the button of the player that you want to use, just tap the button. This will bring up a little screen on the right-hand side, and then just hit the player receives an off-ball screen. And then all you have to do is stand in the little blue circle and watch your players do the rest of the work. And then soon as you see the guy open, just icon pass it straight to him. Hopefully he's open enough to make the shot, but if not, it will create a lot of mismatches. And then just call for the ball back again, and then just post up that mismatch and let the big guy do some work. And that is the next thing I want to talk about, fellas, is just creating mismatches. And the best way I've found, other than off-ball screens, to create mismatches, as I said earlier, is using the pick and fade. So as I said, use the screen like you would before, hit R1, and then run round the screen. If the guard doesn't follow you, it means just, it's not on. I'm ranting and raving, but if you go around the screen, only pass it to the popper if the guard follows you. You'll see him trail you. He'll stop. If he doesn't stop and keeps chasing you, the fade's open all day and he'll either shoot it, but if he doesn't follow you and stops, that creates the mismatch. So what you want to do is either hold onto the ball, run back out, or pass it to the guy that did pop, then call for it back, then tap L1 again, tap the button of the player that's above the big man's head that is in the mismatch now, and then hit X to post them up and just let them do work. Most of the time, 8 to 9 out of 10s, regardless of the difficulty, if it's a big mismatch like a center on a point guard, it's easy buckets. So the next thing I want to talk about is if you see space, you can use the triangle button to make your AI cut. This is a thing that's been in 2Ks for a very long time, but they took it out for a couple of years, but they've brought it back the last 2 years, I think it is, and it works great, especially on the fast break, fellas, or when you want a guy to cut from the corner. It's pretty simple to do. All you have to do is just aim the stick at the player that you want to cut and hold triangle. Then when the passing lane's open, let go of the button. It's as simple as that. But if the passing lane never opens and you don't want to pass the ball, because you will pass the ball eventually if you just keep holding the button, so you want to hold triangle. While you're holding triangle, hit circle. That'll fake pass. You will force a pickup, but you won't throw a terrible pass and then you just pass the ball away and call for it back. It's that simple, fellas. If you hold triangle, see the guy open on the cut, let go of the button. If you don't, hit triangle, or you're still holding triangle and hit circle, and that'll do a fake pass and you won't throw a stupid pass to get intercepted, which is a great thing because these turnovers are brutal to your teammate grade this year, fellas. The less turnovers, the better. Speaking of turnovers, as I said, just avoid turnovers as much as possible. It's not the best for your teammate grade. Don't pass the ball if you don't have to. Hold the ball, even if the shot clock's down to 3 seconds. Pass it away in the last second and just let them throw up a shot, because they don't lose teammate grade. Your AI doesn't lose teammate grade, so just pass them the ball with like 2 seconds to go and just save your teammate grade, because those turnovers or those 24-second shot violations are brutal. So the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to offense is just how to run plays with your AI teammate. Just like I said before, you can hit L1 and all that, you do all that stuff, you tap L1, tap the player, the button above the player's head, blah, 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 blah. But instead of hitting X or triangle when that little menu comes up, you want to hit R2. This will bring up all the plays for that player and then choose the play that works for you. This will take practice to learn, to find out which plays work for which players and which plays work with you. So when the games are a blowout, try these plays out, see what work for you. If you're winning by 50, just try these plays. If you lose them by 30, try these plays. You've got nothing to lose in blowout games. So the next thing I want to talk about is defensive tips to help you win games. Let's be real, fellas. No one really chooses defense on a point guard build in the Mycareer. I haven't had defensive stats for years, but I do my best on defense, and these are some of the things that I've learned over the last 3 weeks of playing the Mycareer. You want to avoid screens as much as possible. The screens are brutal, especially if you don't have pick dodger. Off-ball screens, on-ball screens, you're going to get caught up. You're going to hit those screens hard, fellas. You want to try and avoid those screens completely, but you can't on 3-point shooters. When you're off-balling, trying to get through the screens, just run run around them, like completely run around them. If you're going up against a point guard that isn't a shooter, just completely run around him. Try and avoid him completely. But if you are coming up against a shooter, you've just got to fight through him as best as possible. So the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to defense is don't go for steals, fellas, unless you're a lockdown. Unless you have the steal stats, the only animations that you will get with a low attribute steal is bump animations. So when a guy is near you dribbling the ball and there's not much space, you can hit the square button early. You're not going for steal animations. You're just hoping to get your body in the way of the ball and just to bump it out of the way. That's the only way that you'll get steal animations this year if you don't have a high steal attribute. So the next thing I want to talk about is the off the court stuff. Every year I say to play 12-minute quarters, but hallelujah, we don't have to anymore. 12-minute quarters are pointless unless you're just stat padding, fellas. That's the truth. I know, I always say to play 12-minute quarters, but there is no need to this year. When your player starts at 38 minutes from game one, there is no reason to play that this year. There's no reason to play 12-minute quarters. I find that 6 to 8 minute quarters are perfect to get an A+ without it taking all night. Another thing that I say to do every year is turn on teammate communications in the coach's options. You can't do this in-game. You have to do this while you're in the arena, but this helps a ton when defending screens. Telling you whether to go over or under the screen is so important, because if your AI big man thinks you're going over the screen and you go under, he wigs out. He just does the stupidest shit. He doesn't know what to do. So always sticking to what the teammate communication says is key when playing defense through screens. And if it tells you to switch, switch. If it tells you to play over, under, etc. Follow everything that it tells you to do on defense. That'll keep your defense the most consistent. So the next thing I want to talk about is adjusting your lineups for specific matchups and creating mismatches, but you don't want to give too many minutes to your players. Oh, I stuffed up, fellas. I was playing for the Suns, with KD, Beal, Book, Ayton. So I thought, why not play a 7-man rotation and just play all the minutes to my superstars? That wasn't a good idea. Don't do this, fellas. Oh, my players got injured quick and they got injured bad. KD's out for 6 weeks. Booker was out for 4 weeks. Beal's out for day to day. I had pretty much a bunch of 70 overalls. I was 73 overall, and I think I was the highest overall other than DeAndre Ayton on the team. But what you want to do is just adjust your lineups to create mismatches on bad defenders. If you know that there's certain bad defenders in a lineup, put your superstars on them and let them do work on them. It's as simple as that. Adjust your rotations and your lineups for each game. As I said, if there's a bad defender, put a superstar on him. If there's a superstar with great attacking attributes, put a good defender on him. Things like that. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to off the court stuff is you will need a big man more than ever this year, because rebounds, especially on harder difficulties, are worth its weight in gold. They really are. The amount of second chance points that higher difficulties can get is crazy, and the bigger the screens are, the better. So the better the big man, the harder the screens, which is so helpful this year. As I said, I run a pick and roll system, and screens off ball, on ball are so important this year. Screens are so important this year to get open, and the better the big man, the better. So the last thing I want to talk about is just a couple of things that you need to run this system. Passing at least a 65. As I said, fellas, I'm only like a 73 overall. I've got like 65 passing, 80 shooting, 75 speed and acceleration, or speed with ball and acceleration. I don't have all these great stats. I'm not a 95 overall, but you do need some basic stats. Like you do need some passing, and I recommended about a 65 overall just to get that special delivery badge on bronze, and that's enough for the Mycareer. You will still struggle online, but as a Mycareer build, 65 is enough passing just to get that special delivery badge on bronze. But the better the passing, the more shots your teammates will make. So take that into account. If you are making a new build, you want to go at about 75 to 80 pass accuracy just to get those good shot animations for your AI. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. I hope these tips and tricks help you get an A+, because it is rough out there this year. It really is, fellas. But you follow the pick and roll system. You do these tips and tricks, and trust me, as I said, fellas, I'm a 73 overall, pretty consistently winning on Hall of Fame. So do these tips, tricks, whatever you want to call them, on any difficulty, and it should work to win you games and get you more teammate grade. But anyway, guys, as I said at the start of the video, if you do want to follow this adventure of my Mycareer, don't forget to follow me over on Twitch and hit the subscribe button on the channel, because there's plenty of videos going up pretty much daily of my Mycareer series. So check it out. I don't know, I'm just random raving. But anyway, guys, as as I said, I've talked and raved long enough. I'll catch yous later.